April 10th, 2020. According to a report in Newsweek, the novel coronavirus is now the leading cause of death in America. The virus is responsible for approximately 1,970 deaths a day, more than those caused by cancer, heart disease, auto accidents, or gun violence.
Yeah, perfect. What's going on?
Oh, you didn't hear. Well, COVID is probably going to shut down Hollywood at this point, and a lot of us filmmakers decided, well, I mean, what's stopping us from going into random people's homes and making our own films?
Like a documentary, but without consent?
No. Send in the killer.
Wait. No, stop! No!
Now that would be a sick movie.
Sick is a horror slasher film that takes place towards the beginning of the COVID pandemic as two best friends decide to quarantine together at a family-owned lake house alone, only to find that they may not be as safe or as alone as they initially thought. Alright, I'm just gonna go straight into my opinion and my thoughts on this movie because I feel as though that there is an aspect of this movie that needs to be addressed as it affected my opinion and might do the same for you. I personally thought that this was an okay home invasion movie with a gimmick that could possibly split audiences because of the fact that it feels at times very lazy. Now, a gimmick does not mean in any capacity that it is inherently bad. Let's remember that a gimmick is defined as a trick or device that is meant to garner and attract attention. That means that a YouTube thumbnail is a gimmick. That means that the motion controls on the Nintendo Wii were a gimmick. Now, Vin Diesel's existence in any movie he's ever been in can be an example of a bad gimmick. But now we have a lingering question. This gimmick of using COVID as the time frame that this movie takes place in, does it make the movie any better or enhance the story? Now, personally, when I see representations of the pandemic in movies, I tend to cringe just a little bit because I just personally feel like it does not enhance the story in any capacity with any film that's done it. And if I'm gonna be blunt, I really felt like the COVID portions were added very lazily and at the last second. It almost felt like the script was written before the pandemic ever happened. I mean, you could still have the exact same film made and it be 10 minutes shorter because that's about how much COVID is mentioned. Then the remaining amount of time that the movie takes to complete itself, it's just average. Now, I don't want to take anything away from this movie, so again, I want to reiterate, this was a decent, average, okay home invasion movie. But the aspects of COVID that are included, they just don't benefit the story at all. But now it's time to rate it by category. Now for cinematography, I gave it a 6. It's not reinventing the wheel, it's doing what it needs to do. Direction, I gave a 7. There was some decent hand-to-hand combat scenes in this movie, and there was a lot of one takes that I felt really flowed very well. So overall, decent direction. Editing, I gave a 4. The pacing was very slow and I just felt like the editing did nothing to enhance this movie. VFX, I gave a 9. There was some really awesome visual effects that took place in this movie and a lot of them being practical always gets some brownie points from me. Characters, I gave about a 5. Wasn't too big of a fan of the performances, wasn't too big of a fan of the characters as a whole the way they were written. Just wasn't my cup of tea, but again, it wasn't anything bad. Story, I gave a 4. It would have been a 5 had it not had the gimmick of the COVID situation, but overall, again, it's just kind of a little underwhelming. Last but not least, I gave the score a 7. It fit with the vibe of the film, but overall, just decent, you know? Nothing too special. Now, when you average all those scores together, you get a score of a 6. That is a deeply average movie, teetering on bad, but overall, I personally wouldn't find myself watching this again, but I guarantee you there are gonna be some people out there that will. For me, the movie 6 stayed very comfortably close to the home invasion formula and really didn't do anything to try and stand out. This resulted in it feeling a little bit cliche, but did have some fun sprinkled in between. Now again, I thought this movie was pretty average, but why don't you go ahead and say what you thought of the movie down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're still here, why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe? You've been here long enough. Also, if you didn't know, I'm on Patreon. Go ahead and give it a shot because once we hit 50 patrons, we're going to be able to start doing bonus content for you guys, and then on top of that, we'll be doing weekly live streams. Well, that about does it for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Most likely tomorrow, we'll see.